So here we are again. Let me just check my audio. Make sure I'm coming through loud and clear. There we go. There we go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, let me just mute that. Grab that. Do that. And hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Monday Night Stadia, where I play Stadia games so you don't have to. That's a lie. Yeah, you can play Stadia games. You don't have to have your subscription, but they are quite pricey. There's some good sales on sometimes. Anyway, tonight we're playing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which is a game I've previously played through on the PlayStation 4 when it first came out in 2019, and I've been playing it for the last couple of weeks on Stadia because it's one of those games that kind of interests me. Obviously, it's quite a heavy action game which requires lots of sort of quite accurate attacks and defense and blah 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 and all of that. So how well does it perform on Stadia? The answer is all right. I mean, it looks the part, absolutely. And if you get a very, very solid connection, it absolutely gives the version running on PS5 a run for its money, which was one of our requested titles for the PS5 upgrade comparison video that Ben put together. Now, I could easily have done a video playing this right from the very start. Oh, hello, please don't do that, sir. But there's loads of those on the internet. So, what I thought I would do, instead of doing that, there's two boys up there, is because my main game save that I've been playing through this on is fairly late into the game. Cheeky boy with your little fake out. I thought it would be a good idea to start a brand new game save and focus on trying to do something quite specific tonight, and that is I intend on defeating the Chained Ogre, which is basically the game's first sort of challenging boss, I think a lot of people would probably say. So, I've kind of come into this slightly part way through. We've done the tutorial mission, we've done the kind of the opening section and the first sub-boss, who's like a samurai general just before this area. There we go, look, isn't it lovely? She gave me a bell. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab the item that we really need to sort of tackle the ogre, and we're going to go and give him a run for his money, hopefully. He is quite a formidable opponent, but if you have the right gear, then he's not too tricky. First thing we need to do is come round here and grab ourselves this save point over here. So I have been playing this on various different devices, and it doesn't perform badly. It gives me a very decent 60 frames, both on Wi-Fi and wired. As always, I'm on wired here, using the Stadia controller over Wi-Fi. I'm going to go back to the dilapidated temple, which is the starting area. But I've also had a few sessions playing it on my iPad Pro, which on Wi-Fi, which has looked pretty tasty and run very nicely when my connection's been happy. And I've also had a few decent sessions on the Chromecast Ultra running on my upstairs TV, and I've also run it on my 4K TV in the living room, and it does produce a very nice 4K HDR image, I have to say. And visually, I think it's a little bit tastier than running it through PS5. You do still get that decent 60 frames a second that you get, and the loading times are super duper swift on this. So we are traveling back in time. We're going back in time. I shouldn't have done that. And we're going to go grab an item that we need from this area of the map, so that we can get good and take down the chained ogre. So, if you've never played Sekiro before, it's basically one of those games, in quote marks. It's a tricky action RPG from them lads and lasses what made Dark Souls, and it's initially started out, I believe, as a reboot of the old Tenchu games, which of course have been fairly dormant for a while, not doing anything. Oh, you cheeky boy. And it eventually got its own, found its own story, and Hidetaka Miyazaki, Mr. Dark Souls himself, was the producer on this game, and basically turned it into what we have today with Sekiro. And it's a game that's all about ninjas and samurais in Japan and demons and cool stuff like that, and it's kind of got a really interesting combat system whereby you very much have to balance your attack and defense. So you're blocking, you're parrying, and kind of it's got this really aggressive combat system in, which is pretty cool once you get used to it. It is really tough to get used to, I think, more so than the Souls games. But it's one of those games that when you do get used to it, it's quite rewarding. Come on, mate, turn around, please. There we go. So there's this stealth mechanic, obviously, that you can kind of sneak around, crouch down, hide behind walls and whatnot, and the little triangles above the enemies' heads, like their alert level, so it'll tell you when they've spotted you. And if it's yellow, they're searching for you. If it's red, they have found you. Now, seeing as my other game save is fairly late game, I'm hoping that I don't do anything stupid and assume that I've got some of my late game abilities, Because I can tell you I have not. Now I need to be careful with him because he's got fire, and fire will hurt me. So it is kind of a case of finding that rhythm of parries and attacks, dodges, ducking and weaving. Whenever you see that little red mark above an enemy, that means that you can perform a death blow on them, which basically means an instantaneous kill. So it's not just a case of taking down an enemy's health bar. What you're actually doing is kind of wailing on them to a degree that you kind of get their stamina down, and you weaken them enough that you can get that death blow in and horribly murder them. And I have made a tiny mistake here. I should have gone and got an item before we entered this area, which would have made that guy over there easy to take out at range. But I'll whittle these guys out and I'll run and just give myself a little bit of breathing space. So one of the good things that you can do in this is you can kind of abuse the AI a little bit, because these guys aren't the sharpest tool in the shed. And if you do hide for a bit, Metal Gear Solid style, they will eventually lose their aggro and separate back out again, and you can go back in and sort them out. The reason I took down the guy on top of the hut there was because he is an archer, and he would have given me a very hard time had he still been there, because he can spot you from some distance. But what I wanted to do, what I should have done, was gone and fitted my fake arm, that one there, with a little shuriken launcher that I could have pinged a few off at him and sorted him out. So that sort of fake arm there is where some of the cool stuff in this game really comes in, is you can find these weapons that you can attach to it and give yourself a distinct advantage. Over the enemies. The dogs still know where I am. They still seem to think they are... Oh, sugar honey. Oh well. That's fine. It's fine. So there is this whole area over here that I'm not going to go to for this playthrough, but there's sort of like some items over there. There's an NPC over there that you can go and talk to, who sells rare stuff. But my main port of call is going to be back where I was, up this wall here. So one of the things obviously that you do get with this over like the Souls games is there's a lot more freedom of movement. So he's coming to investigate. Yeah, you've got to jump. You've got the grapple that you can use. It's a lot more solid, sort of as an action game, rather than an RPG. But what you do lose in this compared to Dark Souls is the actual RPG element. You know, you don't get the ability to make different builds. And try out different items quite so much. There's more of a linear critical path to this. Yes and no. I said that and then instantly regretted it, because there is parts of the game where it branches off and you can go and explore, do different things, and find different areas. So the item that I've come to get is just over here. Not that. Is that the flame barrel, which is something that we can attach to the prosthetic arm, which will give us an advantage over the chained ogre. So basically, this particular scene of the game, there's been an attack on a palace, and Wolf, the character that we play as, aka Sekiro, was present for that, and this kind of fills in a bit of backstory as to what was going down before the actual start of the game. I may go and bloody chickens. They're basically like the cuckoos from Zelda. Not too tough, but if you enrage them, you will be in trouble. So yeah, just murder all the chickens. Murder all the chickens. So the upgrade system in this, it has got a system very similar to Dark Souls of Souls, but in this it's Sen, it's money that you earn from defeating mainly human opponents. Generally, the animals and the sort of the beast opponents don't give you Sen when you defeat them, and you use that to buy stuff, buy items, and buy upgrades for your prosthetic arm. But you also earn experience from defeating enemies. That gets you experience points that you can put into skills, and gradually as you go through the game you'll get different books which you can learn different skills from. So this guy we need to talk to. There we go. So we talk to him. Yeah, I could have eavesdropped and heard their conversation, but I've heard their conversation many times. So, when you defeat enemies, like I say, they'll drop Sen, and you kind of suck it in by holding down on the Stadia controller, it's the X button. And on the Xbox controller as well, if you're playing it on that. Take a little sip it on my gourd. That's kind of your healing item that refreshes every time you rest at one of the shrines. Hello, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. You're just standing there like a big dummy waiting to get stabbed in the back. So, we've got the axe, we've got the shuriken, and we've got the flame barrel, and those are the flame barrel in particular is the item that I want for the ogre. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the dilapidated temple, which is the area that you effectively start the game in. This is kind of your hub world that you'll keep coming back to upgrade your prosthetic arm. And we're going to talk to the I was about to say blacksmith, but he's not a blacksmith. He's the guy that carves the Buddhas. I can't remember. My brain is a little bit cooked. It's been a long day. So he's given us our first esoteric text, which we can use to spend skill points and get cool stuff that we can level ourselves up so we take less damage or deal more posture damage or take less posture damage. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. So what he's going to do is he's going to now fit these prosthetic tools that we've got. So we've got the loaded shuriken, we've got the loaded axe, and we've got the flame vent. And the flame vent is the item that we're going to want to use on the boss. And he's given us another esoteric text that will help us level up our skills with our prosthetics. So prosthetic tools cost to use. They cost these spirit emblems to use, like it says there, and that's down in the bottom right hand corner, and we've collected a couple there. So we've got a couple of spirit emblems. So we get them from defeating enemies. We get them. We can purchase them from sculptors' idols as well. So they're kind of the consumable that allows us to use our prosthetic tools. So let me load all of these into my 3 prosthetic tools slots. As I say, the flame vent's the one that we're going to want to use, so we can flip between them. I've got it set to pushing up on the D-pad so that I can have my use item on the Y button because it's a lot more accessible there. And the flame vent is the one that we're going to use on the boss. But each of them do some cool things. Like the loaded axe is quite good for splitting shields into. The shuriken's quite good for hitting faraway enemies, and the flame vent is good against red-eyed demon enemies, like the ogre that we're about to go up against. But there is another one as well, which is good against animals, and I find it generally quite a good multi-purpose tool anyway, which is the firecrackers, and you buy those off an NPC fairly close to the idol that we rested at near the ogre boss that we're going to be going to. So I'm just going to take out a few enemies just to charge up my spirit emblems a wee bit. In theory. Or at least get some send to buy some spirit emblems with. Oh, hello. There we go. So we do have a fair few spirit emblems now, then. Sends. A fair bit of send we can use to buy some spirit emblems at the very least. So, let's go... up to here. How many should we get? Well, I don't want too many, but let's just grab... I think 13 is the max that you can start. 15 is the max you can start with. So let's max that out. Let's grab some skills as well. What have we got? Whirlwind Slash is quite handy. And the Makiri counter. Makiri counter is basically the first thing you should ever buy in this game because it is so useful against a number of enemies, particularly enemies with spears, but anyone who's got any sort of thrusting attacks, the Makiri counter is basically, it's the defensive skill to have. So we're going to head back to the stairway and we're going to go and try and do the ogre. Although first I've got to have a conversation with the guy that we met at the dilapidated temple. Yarder, yarder, yarder. Who's now set up shop over here. No, hello. So we'll talk to him for a bit. He's going to get lots of money off you. Basically, he charges you initially for information, but if you pay him, he uses that money to go and buy gear, and he's quite handy to kind of top your stock up from. So purchase information for 10 sen. We know we were there momentarily ago. So literally he told us that we spoke on the night of the attack, and yeah, we know we were there. So buy some more information for 20 sen. Yeah, we know, we've got that. We got it fitted. So he gives us some oil. And the oil is going to be super handy. So he's going to go off and buy some stuff. And if you visit him later, he's going to have some more things for you to buy off him. So these remnants kind of fill the story in as you're going around. The story is kind of told a bit less esoterically in this game as it is to some of From's other titles like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. So you know, you don't have to read items to pick up on a lot of the story. It is very much presented to you as you play, which is good. You know, I mean, it's still a tough game, but it's accessibly tough. And there's the ogre up there waiting for us. And here we go. Okay. Now, I've heard tell that you can get an attack in on him for a free bit of damage, but I've never been able to get it to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw some of that nice oil at him that we've got, and that's going to do a fair bit of damage when we then set it on fire with the flame vent, and that's going to get us in our attack there. So, oh, you absolute that's what we wanted. So you can defend against his attacks apart from those. No! God damn it! But it's fine, because shadows can die twice. This is the first time I've died in this run. So this is the resurrection mechanic, in that you can come back to life once after death. Yeah, we know. There he goes. And he's toast. One thing I will say about the fights in this is they are super intense. They can even the ones where you know what you're doing. The battles can get really intense, but that's what makes it rewarding. So where are we? We're about half an hour into the stream, and we've done what we set out to do, which was kill the chained ogre. So this guy's gonna get an attack in with me on his spear. I've used that Makiri counter technique that we picked up, and there's a number of enemies that are going to try and use that kind of lunging stab attack on you, and Makiri is the way that you're gonna defend against that. So picking up that Makiri counter ability is absolutely essential. So just going to go and rest at the idol here. So one of the things you'll notice is that we got a prayer bead off the ogre. Now 4 of those prayer beads will let you upgrade your attack power. We've got 2 at the minute. Your vitality, your attack power is upgraded by a completely separate method after you've defeated a main boss, which we won't get to, I don't think, in this particular stream. I don't think we're going to be able to reach one of the main bosses to get an attack power upgrade. Oh yeah, of course you don't auto rest, so I have to rest. So next, what can we do? What we will do next... Oh yeah, I forgot you respawn. Sorry. How could I forget about you? Kill all the all for some extra sen. Because why not? Come back here. So obviously you'll see at the bottom of the screen as well, we've got our own posture gauge which goes up as we defend against enemies and as we take damage from attacks. And if that posture meter reaches the top, then you get a period where you're stunned and basically you can take a fair amount of damage from enemies. I'm taking that guy out first because he will alert the enemies to my presence. Not that they don't already know I'm here, but there we go. So as with last time, it's a good idea to just kind of... Although they seem to think they know where I am, which is a bit cheeky of them. There is a lot of enemies in this area though, so... He knows exactly where I am, and he's not telling his mates. I find that to be slightly cruel. Probably stupid, but I need to kind of take all of these guys out because there is another boss. You can defend against bullets, which is quite handy, and he's coming up here. But what I want to do... Oh yeah, you saw me, didn't you? Oh no, I don't want to fight you just yet. That was silly of me. Let's retreat up here. What I'm actually going to do, we will try and take out the general. I'll stop shooting at me. First things first, I am going to go and just unlock a little bit of a route round here. And we're going to go and get another prosthetic tool as well, which I personally find helps with enemies like the General. So we're just going to scale around here, and this is kind of just a little loop around. With an optional boss, which I am in absolutely no way messing with at this point of the game. In fact, I barely messed with these guys late game when I first played this, because they are bad news. He's down there somewhere. There he is. Hello. He's got a little glowing purple sword, and he's basically a beheaded warrior, and he will inflict terror upon you if you are not careful, and that is not fun whatsoever. So I am not going anywhere remotely near him. Instead, I'm going up this way. Taking out these lizards up here. So the easy technique for these lizards, and indeed any enemy that's kind of... Oh, hello. That didn't work. Any enemy that is crouching close to the ground like that is you can leap in the air and get a free death blow on them, even if they've seen you. And there are a couple of enemies late game or mid to late game which you can use that against quite effectively. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to loop back to this way. Not that way. Which way? I have no memory of this place. Down this way. To this guy. I don't want him to start firing cannons at me, so you can die. And obviously going off the beaten path is really handy to just kind of find hidden items. Oh my god, get up there. There we go. So, again, head up there. And we're going to head up there. Hello! I would rather. So these guys are kind of merchants that you'll meet while you're exploring, and you can buy stuff off them. And in particular, this guy sells Robert's firecrackers, which is another super handy prosthetic tool. So we're going to loop all the way up. I thought I'd done a mistake and done a fall off then. Do you know, I don't think I've ever been down this way. Huh. Well, there you go. That's like an alternative way up to the Ogre fight. Well, there you go. Every day is a school day. Okie, so where are we going to go? We're going to go back to the sculptor, and he's going to fit the firecrackers. And they basically give off this quite cool, funky spark. Have I got any gourds to upgrade? So Emma's a yeah. So she's a medic who kind of does sort of various healy bits, but she's got a secret. She is a character with a secret. And if you find gourd seeds, she will level up your healing gourd so that you've got more charges in it. AKA your Estus flask. Have I got any more? No, I don't have any more. That's fine. Let's go and get the firecrackers. And then we'll try and take down a big old samurai. Hello. Right. Give me some firecrackers. Right. So let's pop the firecracker on. First thing we need to do is take out all of his mates that are lurking near him. And then that will give us basically uninterrupted combat with him, but we will do it in a sneaky, sneaky way so that we can get a little free hit in on him before we actually tackle him directly. Because, you know, we're sneaky samurai. There's none of the honour and moral stuff that in this game that you found in Ghost of Tsushima. Oh no, 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 you can sneak around to your little heart's content doing various stabbings on people. Come on, let's Makiri counter. And one more time. There we go. Quite satisfying that. Always that guy with the gun. Always the guy with the gun who sees me. Don't you be banging your pot, please. So you come down here. Now this guy is an optional boss. If you don't want to tackle him, you can just drop off there, down there, and move forward with the story. And, you know, no one will care. There he is. I don't want to fight you yet, sir. Sorry, I'm running away. Your mate, there's too many of your mates around. Is that him? Or is that another mate? I've broken his AI. Okay, so he's coming back up here. Where's he coming? He's coming this way. So if I can pop myself up this way and get a little free sneaky in on him. Boom! And then we go down here. And we have our actual fight down here. Don't you dare. So that little move he was doing there was regaining some of his posture, which of course we don't want. We don't want him to regain any posture at all. That would be rude, and you know it would prevent us from dealing much more damage on him. So one of the things that would... Oh, okay. One of the things it was mentioning there was the more damage you deal to an enemy, the more their posture meter is going to go down. So obviously dealing damage is good, dealing posture damage is good, and it's finding that balance between physically damaging an enemy and actually damaging their posture to get them up to the point at which you can give them a death blow. That sounded very rude. So, what time is it? I think we've got 10 more minutes, I think. I normally give myself a bit of a window between 8 and 9 to do these streams. We kind of overran last week when we were doing Pixel Junk. And I'm going to try and stick as close as possible to my my plan this week. But I think we've got time to mess about with this big snake here. So this is kind of a scripted event that you find yourself in the middle of, and you've got to sneak past this snake to get to the other end of this valley. Again, this is one of those parts of the game where if you know where you're going, it's fairly straightforward. But if you don't know where you're going, it's going to intimidate and terrify your tiny little brains. One of those set pieces that's just designed to be horrible. We want the snake to go up there, and we're going to go into the pagoda. And the snake's going to go, I see you. But we have a sword. Now, there is an item around here which kind of is useful, I guess. Maybe it's probably not as useful as it's made out to be. I personally don't think, but hey-ho. Whee! That took a little bit too long for my liking to grapple up there. So we grapple past the snake, leg it out, and here we are. We're finally just outside Ashina Castle. And very close to the first major boss battle. Where these firecrackers are going to thoroughly come into their own. In fact, to hell with it, let's try doing this, boss. And that would be a fantastic place to finish if we can get all the way through to the castle. So there's a bunch of stuff going on down here. There's this guy which, if you eavesdrop on him, will basically tell you how to defeat the boss. So it's saying, if there's a big scary noise, then the horse will be startled. And that's the hint. So generally the bosses in this are a case of practice at your timings, your windows for parry, what their so obviously startle the horse. Wait for him to get a bit of distance away. Startle the horse again. The trick is to kind of let him get far away, but not too far that he can get a... Oh! You cheeky boy! You need to kind of keep on it. I'm slightly concerned because I've only got 3 spirit emblems left. But we'll see where we go with it. So we want to be startling the horse, we want to be defending against those big attacks like that. No, he's got me. No, he's not got me yet. There we go. Beautiful. And he requires a double death blow just to finish him off. And then you have a little bit of a sad moment where his horse says, "Oh no, you killed my man." But we're okay, we're Shinobi, we just walk off. And that is kind of the first major path through Sekiro. So at this point, it's through here to the castle, and ultimately to try and find Kuro, who's the little lad that you're trying to protect. So what we can do now, though, we can enhance our attack power by confronting the memory of Gyobu. And that gives us a bit more attack power, that gives us a bit more strength. And if we find another prayer bead, in fact, I do believe there's one in this direction. If you want a little sneaky hint. We also got off Gyobu, we got the barrel to fit into the prosthetic arm, which will allow us to actually upgrade the tools to give them better abilities. So there's Tengu there that you can talk to, but he's a talkative lad. I'm not going to chat with him just yet. But we are just going to flip up here, flip around here, and no, jump up there. And over here we've got a chest with a super secret, there we go, prayer bead inside. And as I say, prayer beads are what you use to level up your health, your vitality, and your posture. So the more prayer beads you get, every 4 you can level up your vitality and your posture. And that will just generally give you a bit of an edge over the enemies in the game. So one of the quite cool things I must say about playing this at 60 frames a second is I am finding it just that little bit easier to parry enemies, that little bit easier to see attacks incoming. You know, you got a high resolution, you got a high frame rate, and if you've got a decent enough connection to play Stadia, it's definitely well worth picking up on Stadia. It's a great game. I've had some great sessions on devices other than my PC and my screen. You know, I've played it a bit on my iPad, which is all good. You know, playing Sekiro on your iPad. Why not? But definitely that Stadia controller helps because you get that better connection to the server with it. So what did this guy... Oh, this guy sells a gourd seed. So obviously, as I say, the gourd seeds can be used. You use those to level up your gourd flask. Hello. So I'm just going to talk to Tengu again very briefly. So he gives you a quest to go and find rats, and they're basically the little lads with the big hats. And if you kill those just inside the castle entrance, which is just over from where we defeated Gyobu, then you he gives you another esoteric text, which helps you learn some really cool moves, some really handy moves. And also some really cool abilities which will reduce the posture damage that you take and increase the posture damage that you deal out. So very, very handy for some of the later level bosses. He also names you Sekiro. So, yeah, says the name, you wins the prize. There's the name of the game. So I'm going to open this, and that, my friends, is that. I hope you have enjoyed watching a bit of Sekiro. Shadows die twice. I think we we didn't properly die, which I'm quite impressed at. The first time I played this game, I was dying all over the shop. I died far more times than twice. I can tell you that for a start. But it is one of those games that I think it's tougher than Dark Souls, but it's more accessible than Dark Souls. I'm asking it as if it's a question. Mainly because I think because it's got that critical path, there's kind of rude. There's not as many ways to kind of skin a cat, I guess, as you could say, for Dark Souls. You know, there's not a lot of complicated levels and different sort of types of character that you can be. You're only ever Wolf or Sekiro. You only ever have the same prosthetic items that you get at different points of the game. So in a way, it's kind of more like a sort of a Metroid or Castlevania style. It's more of a Metroidvania style game. Than sort of like the Dark Souls games, which of course are action RPGs. But there we go. That's Sekiro, and that's Sekiro in particular on Stadia. So thank you very much for joining me for another Monday Night Stadia. Pop back next week, where I will try and find us some more exciting games to take a look at. I'm going to rustle through the Stadia Pro library again and see if we can find some Stadia exclusives to take a gander at, because they're always quite interesting for folks who probably aren't sub to Stadia but are interested to sort of see what unique games are on offer in it. I have become really hooked on this game again. We actually never did do a review for this when it first came out in 2019. So when we publish the review for this is actually going to be the first time that we actually review Sekiro. So come back hopefully sometime this week, possibly at the weekend, for the video review for that. Do subscribe to us. We do like subscribers. They are nice to have and it's nice to see you're coming back for more content when we do publish new videos and do new streams. And we've got plenty of stuff in the works. We've got more Stadia streams coming up, and I think we're talking about doing some more multiplayer streams as well. So, you know, just keep your eye on the channel, come check us out, and we will catch you in the future. Thank you very much for watching.